years, I haven't messed up a single job.
With the arthritis you had, you can expect an occasional flare-up.
I really need to get back to work.
What do you do?
It's because people ask me to. And so when I get asked to do those, I try and subvert it as much as possible towards some different version of that, you know? So, I've done straight out comedy and I've done thriller and things like I've never done horror. I'm not a big horror fan, but although I do have one that I'm developing, but it's my version of it. So everything has to be sort of my version of it. So even though people go, oh yeah, action movie, something like Old Guy is really character driven, and although they're hitmen and there's action moments and there's thriller moments, it's really about the dynamic of the three characters, and that's what carries you along. You could take the action out of it and it would still sort of work. You say, they'd go out of a doorway, say, oh, we just came back and we just did a hit, and they carry on with the conversation. You could take the action out of it, I think, but it wouldn't. Not many people would go to see it. But yeah. So I always try and put as much character in as possible, and that's what it was about this script. When I read the script, it was, to be honest, when I read an action script, I kind of flick through the action part because it's really hard to read, and you can't follow who's punching who and who's falling off what, and it's tiring. So and I know I'm going to change it all anyway to what I want to do. So I just really only read the dialogue and the character pieces, and if that works, and it's a world I like, there's certain worlds I don't want to be in, and there's certain worlds I do want to be in. Then I'll consider it and start making it my own and molding it to what I want. So yes, you could say because some of my bigger, flashier films have been action films, that's the ones that people sort of focus on, but really I do everything in between. So
Here we go.
Zelensky. He made a terrible mess. Didn't even get the go.
We can avoid these problems.
We're going younger across the board. I've got something I think you might like.
Back in the field.
In a different capacity.
Hey man, what's up?
You forgot the vodka.
Alcohol is actually really bad for you.
Probably.
I mean, they did not have that dynamic in real life at all because Christoph, is a wonderful and very generous actor, and he was a big supporter of Cooper playing that part because, I went after Christoph because he's very different to the character. He is a very intelligent, speaks 5 languages, including ancient Greek, and it's like you can talk to him about any subject, which we did on the set a lot. Whether it's the perspective of the buildings or how to draw a cathedral. He's not Danny Dolinsky, who is a drinking, drug-taking party animal who's out of control and is a hitman, and also can't get out of the 90s. He still thinks he's living then. Christoph is not like that at all. So for me to get someone who you don't normally see play that kind of part, it'd be very easy to cast someone that has done that before, but Christoph is not usually that. So that was why I went after him. And then the harder part is actually to find the younger character, because you need someone that obviously you want to be the best actor possible, but when they're that young, they haven't done very much. And someone like Cooper did one film before this. It happened to be a brilliant film, so that helps, and it's fantastic in it. And but that's all I had to go on. So it's a bit of a risk, but he's got such an old head on his shoulders, and above his years, and he's so brave and experimental as an actor. It's a very different technique. Someone like Lucy Liu and Christoph, who have been doing it a long time, are very adept at using their tools, and they know what they're going to do, and it's very easy for me to set it up so they can do their thing. Someone like Cooper is going to come in and he's going to try everything, and so that's the opposite. So I get like 5 different versions of Cooper's character to edit with, and I have to choose. Every scene, is he going this way? Is he going that way? Whereas with the Christoph and Lucy Liu characters, they are much more set, and we discussed it weeks before. We rehearsed the script. They've discussed it with it, and they come on the set ready, with what their version of those characters. So that was the dynamic. But luckily, everybody got along. I mean, I've done films when people don't get along, and it still turns out a great film, or like a successful film. Even if it's not great. But in this case, it was just a pleasure, because watching these three actors work together, I didn't have to put on the gigantic roller coaster show that I often do, where I'm running around with 500 people and equipment and helicopters and whatever, and it's really a nightmare of logistics. And I could be in a room with three great actors, and we're just talking about how to make people love these three. Even though they may hate each other, the three characters, but eventually they're going to love each other, and also the audience hopefully is going to love them as they go along.
Get out of there! He's some sort of hitman prodigy.
Prodigy. That guy paints his fingernails.
This working together thing, not bad, right?
You're gonna do as I say.
Sure thing, Obi-Wan.
Everybody is very good at what they do. I mean, I've been lucky that the action field or the more dramatic acting field, or a combination. Like if you work with someone like Nick Cage, he's done massive action films, but he's also done Oscar-winning performances. So you get everything in the one package there. So I've learned to do is just create an environment, whatever they need to do their best work. Some people need a lot of takes. Some people need to do one take. Some people need to rehearse. Some people don't. Some need a lot of direction. Some people don't. So I just quickly have to learn what each person needs to get the best out of them. And but as I said, most of them have been at the top of their game, top of their field. They've worked their way into that. So they've already established how to do it, and and what they do. And it's my job just to create an environment that they can do what they know how to do. I'm not there to, if it's a young actor, then it's a lot more hands-on. Okay, let's do this and that. But with those, people at the top, you don't do that. You don't need to. You just have to make sure they, know where the set is, and where their trailer is, and that's it. Guide them on, guide them off.
I need my gear.
Where are you headed next?
Northern Ireland.
I've always wanted to visit there.
So are you like a prostitute or something?
Well, Christoph did everything, but I mean, a lot of the time I had to tone him down a bit, because I had to remind him, like, the film's called Old Guy and you're losing your abilities. And Christoph is actually super fit and can run up, escalators, and I had to say, like slow down a bit, make some of it look a little harder than it is, because he's very agile and not at all an old guy. So that was more of the thing. But he did everything in the film. I mean, he's very physically, and I think he has fun with that. I learned that a lot with these sort of more serious actors, like when I worked with John Malkovich or people like that. They're normally, oh yeah, you're usually in a costume with a wig on, and and being very. You give them a pump action shotgun and say, kick that door down and blow those people. They love it, because they never get asked to do it. They're always like, they go, I'm not really that prissy and prim and proper. I do actually like to throw a punch. So I think those people appreciate it when you say, like, go on, jump over that wall and roll in the mud. They love it.
Why are you partnered up? Training out. Don't believe that, do you? They are going to root out every last one of us. We need to call in the cavalry.
It's probably Expendables 2. Huge bullet count. I mean, I don't count bodies because I find that part of it a little bit, I don't know, macabre. But I do, we had a huge 50 caliber machine gun on Expendables 2 that each actor had to fire, and it was so powerful that it broke the filter on the lens every time they used it. But I had to do it. You get each person to shoot it, and every time it'd break this lens, the camera operator would get the actor to sign it, and then he'd stick it on his wall. And so, but it's a blank fire. It's not even a real bullet. It's just a shockwave from it broke the filter on the lens. And I think those were $25 a round, and it's going like a machine, blah, blah, blah. And it's so loud that I'm shouting cut, and they can't hear me. And in the time I worked out, they blew through $500 worth of ammunition, but between me saying cut and stop, because they just couldn't hear me. But I don't know exactly how many it was, but they were the biggest, most expensive bullets we used.
We're looking to the future.
His skills, you're gonna need him. We made a play, but we lost.
Dolinsky still has gas in the tank.